Today on the show, we have a gentleman by the name of Alex Perez, and through his performance in the cage, he's actually been granted a UFC contract. So thank you so much for joining us today, Alex.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, the UFC part is a brand new part of your life, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to take a second to get to know Alex, and take it back to the roots. This is not something that just came from one day to another. It obviously is a journey, right? And take us back, man. How did your life mix up with mixed martial arts?
Well, I started wrestling in high school, in actually elementary school, about sixth, seventh grade, and then went through high school. Did okay there. Won tournaments, made it to the state tournament twice in California. Didn't place, and then we have a junior college, and I got recruited there. My coach, recruited me. Then I just, started wrestling there, and I was also started training right after high school. Just hitting pads, nothing crazy. And then after my, in between my first year of wrestling, I took my first amateur fight. During wrestling season, probably wasn't the smartest thing, but took it anyways.
Awesome.
And then, I liked it. And then from there, I just finished up the high school season, the college season. And then I started competing. I did 3 amateur fights, probably within like 4 months, 5 months within each other. And then from there, I turned pro. Made my pro debut at Tachi Palace. And then it just took off from there. Had a lot of experience on the way. Fought for different organizations all over California from top to bottom. So, that's how I really got started with it.
Awesome.
Were you always a fan of MMA?
At first, I really didn't know what it was. I was just actually helping people out. They had fights coming up, and they needed some wrestlers, and they asked if we would help them out. And I was like, sure, they had nothing else to do, so I'd help them out as much as possible with the wrestling part. And then, kind of like, oh man, it's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind trying this 1 or 2 times, and 21, 22 fights later, I'm still here.
That's great, man. So yeah, now that you're in the mix, now that I guess you're in the big leagues, what's your view on the current state of the UFC Flyweight division?
I think I can contend.
Awesome.
I've had a lot of fights. I feel like I've been all over. I think I can contend with anybody in the world, especially coming from my camp and my coaching staff. I think anything's possible. I think I can hang with anybody right now.
You looked really good in your fight. You choked him out. Was it an anaconda choke? Was it, or was it Darce?
Anaconda choke. Something that we hit during we drill it during practice a lot. Do a lot of drilling in our jiu-jitsu practices, so so stuff like that just comes natural.
That's awesome. So obviously, you being a mixed martial artist, and I hate to mention it, but it's something that's taking not only the combat sports world by storm, but it's also taking the pop culture world by storm as well. Obviously, there's a spectacle fight coming up between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, which is going to combine the two sports for, I guess, the most legitimate time in history. I mean, obviously, we've seen people dibble and dabble here and there, but this is probably the most legitimate fight between the two worlds. A pure boxer, probably one of the greatest of all time as far as defense goes, against a star in the MMA world, the UFC's first 2-division champion. Before I get your take on that fight, I just want to ask you personally, how do you think that your skills would fare up against a professional boxer?
I've sparred with professional boxers and stuff. I can somewhat hold my own for a little bit, but it's a whole different game. It's not the same. A lot of people are like, oh, you guys do everything. It's like, yeah, well, they just specialize in boxing, so it's kind of hard to say. We spar like 4 or 5 rounds, where actually you're sparring 12 rounds, you're fighting for 12 rounds, so it's a little bit different. I don't think I'll do too bad, but I don't think I'll be able to be a legitimate pro boxer.
No, that's that. No, we totally respect your aspect on that and your insight. Now discussing that fight. I mean, how do you think it's gonna go? You have like two different. I like to say that there's two different types of combat sport fans. Fans that just see it as two guys in a ring, either boxing or fighting. And then you have fans that look at the technique. They're purists of the sport. They look at the technique. They understand movement. They understand, a fighter that's fighting in a southpaw stance or an orthodox stance. And then, like I said, there's other people that just see it as something that's popular in the moment, and they'll watch. They'll pay the $100 to watch the fight. How do you think the fight's gonna happen? How do you think the fight is going to play out? Do you think it's a legitimate fight? Do you think that Conor McGregor has a puncher's chance, or do you think it's more so like a circus act kind of? I mean, I have to be careful there. Not necessarily circus act, but do you think it's more so a spectacle than a fight? What's your take on that?
I mean, it's a fight. They're both on a contract. They're both gonna go out there and try to win. But I'm happy for McGregor making that money. But I just don't think he can box with Mayweather. It's a different sport. A lot of people are like, well, he can punch him and hit him. And hurt him. And yeah, but some of these guys that Floyd Mayweather has boxed, they spent their whole lives, training, and they can barely hit him. So what makes you think someone that's been training for X amount of years and everything is gonna be able to punch this guy? Like I said, I'm happy that he's making the money, but I just don't. I just think Floyd's gonna be too much in the ring.
Do you think Floyd's gonna knock him out like he said?
I don't know. I mean, he can. I mean, people just don't. People think Mayweather doesn't hit hard, but I mean, you just never know, man. Anything can happen. McGregor really hasn't really been hit too hard by anybody. I mean, besides Diaz, Other than that, you really don't see him get hit too much. But punches do add up after a while. I think he's gonna get hit more than he's probably been hit before.
Awesome. Like we totally respect your insight, being a professional fighter. You give us that kind of point of view that the normal fan wouldn't be able to really discuss or think about. So we really appreciate your take on that. But really, I want to know, and we all would like to know, what's next for Alex Perez? How do you plan to make your presence felt in the UFC? What do you think that you are going to be able to do in the octagon time and time again? I mean, let's face it, your last fight during the Contender Series, impressive finish, Alex. But that's just one fight. We obviously, you know how the UFC is, very competitive. These guys are the best in the world. What do you think that you have to do, and what are you planning to do to make your presence felt in the UFC? That way, you can build a following. People will want to pay to watch you fight, and people will either want to call you out or they'll be ducking you, but they'll know who Alex Perez is. So, what do you think you have to do to get there?
One, the biggest thing is just obviously keep the same grind I had. Some people will stop doing that when they make it.
Yeah.
But second of all, just bring what I have to the table. If they've seen a little bit on a Tuesday, that obviously every don't like to wrestle too much, even though I have a wrestling background. I'd rather hit someone in the face.
Yeah, you came out hot, man. That was a good fight. You came out ready to go.
Yeah, man. Just bringing that intensity, and just being able to bring that every fight, I think will give me a great fan base. They only can go for, they only can sell a good fight if you're coming out like that every time.
No, definitely, man. Like I said, we watched the fight. I actually was able to speak to you before the fight. Wish you luck. And then when we watched the fight, man, we were so happy because, like I said, it's one thing to be under a lot of pressure, which you were, right? You were under a lot of pressure because, your life could possibly change. I mean, you're fighting for a contract. And to finish that fight in impressive fashion like you did, I mean, we have to take our hat off to you. So that was really awesome. And also, besides the fighting, if I could ask you one more question, if that's okay with you, before the fight, and aside from all of that, through the buildup of the fight, through the UFC's buildup of the fight, they had a piece there where you talked about how at early on, you knew that just school just wasn't for you. You come from a big family. I believe you said about 9 brothers and sisters, and some of them went the school route. But unfortunately, you didn't. Not unfortunately, but you didn't see your future being in school. You wanted to make your success and your name be felt in a different profession, and so you took a different route. What advice do you have for someone that may be young and is kind of on the fence about college? What advice do you have to them if they're seeking a profession and they want to work hard enough to get there?
Uh, I think personally, like I said 100 times, that if you want to go into like a professional, you want to be an MMA fighter, pro boxer. The biggest thing for me, if I can go back through time, would be finish school. You never know what's gonna happen. I just take a chance, and thankfully it's worked out.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
not many people have the opportunities I have had. So it's like I said, like I just think like if I can go back through time, not knowing that what was gonna happen to me, I would have finished school. I took a very big chance because in this sport there is not a retirement fund or retirement plan for you. It's basically they pay you, you fight to pay you, and then you can spend all your money at one time. And I think everybody needs a backup plan. I'm not saying that the backup plan is because you're not gonna make it, but you just never know. You can get injured, anything can happen, and I just think that would be the smartest thing to do. If I was young, if I can go back to time and start this over, I'd probably finish school.
Do you regret not finishing school, or you're happy? You're happy with decisions you made? Because I mean, you're on the road to doing really well. So
I'm happy with the decisions I made. Like I have a lot of people that take care of me and stuff. That make like I know for a fact after fighting, I will have a job and I will be able to retire eventually. I've saved up money. I've done things to set up for the future, but not that many people think about stuff like that, and I think that's a very very hard way to live if you don't have a backup plan. Because once you're done fighting, you can't fight forever. Once you're done fighting, what are you gonna do? And who's gonna take care of you? And who's gonna want to take care of you? So I
Not.
think
I think that's a great way of thinking, Alex. I think that that's a great way of thinking, and I think that you, as a young man, um, of Hispanic and Latino descent, I think that you have a lot to offer, not only in the octagon, but I think that you have a lot to offer in that realm of, teaching young men in this country that if you work hard enough, and you believe in yourself, the sky's the limit. So we really want to congratulate you on your success. I'm sure that you're really busy nowadays, so we don't want to take much of your time. But like I said, we're rooting for you here. You got 2 fans in us, and I definitely could see great things in your future. You have the mindset of someone that really wants to, grow in the sport. And I think that your story's just starting off right now, and it's been a long journey up until this point. But you don't sound to me like you're someone that's comfortable. You want more, and you're still hungry. And as long as you keep that same mindset, I think you're gonna go really far in the sport.
do you think you'll make your
thanks,
UFC?
man. I really appreciate it.
Do you think you'll make your UFC debut this year?
Yeah, I'm thinking it might be a quick turnaround. I'm not too sure. I really didn't take no injury,
Well, you got a first
no
round
injuries.
finish.
Yeah, you took care of him real
So,
quick, man.
yeah, so I'm not too sure what they have in store for me, but it might be a quick turnaround.
That'd be good to see.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Alex. We really appreciate you calling in. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure it's been a busy week, not necessarily maybe with the media and stuff, but I'm sure that your family has, have been calling you and congratulating you on your great accomplishment. Like I said, we were watching. We were very excited to see you win in such impressive fashion. And I think more importantly, Dana White, if in that fight video, you could see Dana White's reaction right after that. And we took that away with us as well. He was very impressed, man. So I think that if you continue to have finishes like that and you continue to have performances like that, man, I mean, this is just the beginning for you, Alex.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the support, man. I really do.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in on the show, Alex. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
No worries, man. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.